How you doing, Bob? Another week of podcasts for Citizens for a Better Broome.
Well, we'll get it done one way or another. We're a day late maybe, but we're not $1 short. Here we are in a snowstorm in early March, and our thoughts and prayers, of course, always in this time are going out to the folks in Ukraine and the surrounding countries, which are opening their hearts and their pocketbooks really to these immigrants who are streaming out of there to the tune of maybe 2 million people. It's a sad thing to see. We're gritting our teeth as we watch gas go to $5, probably a gallon before Memorial Day. And, COVID's in the rear view mirror. You wonder if these things are related.
I thought about
that. Yeah, I thought about that, Andy. I mean, call me really highly skeptical, if you will. And I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but I don't believe in coincidences either. You wonder how much of this is linked together. I'll leave that talk for another time. We'll try to stay on task here with Citizens for a Better Broome. Folks, thanks for listening. Check us out on Facebook. We just had a monthly meeting. It's always the first Monday of the month at Thursdays at 6:00. Anyone and everyone is welcome. Anything we write is at bobkingsley.com on my blog post, so you can check that out as well. And with that said, I know, Andy, you wanted to start with a couple things maybe.
I've got this student housing project that's been on and off, start go since 2008, and it seems to be a little more on the front burner now. And there's a group of citizens in Vestal that aren't happy with the project. And for those that are familiar with Bun Hill, driving up this road and, 600 to 800 students, I'm going to go with the idea there was 580 parking spaces, according to the map engineering study. Just add that, there'll probably be a few more. And I'm wondering, the project's been reviewed by various entities at the town of Vestal and at Broome County. And it seems though, and whether it's commercially viable or not, there isn't from what people have said, there's too many rooms now for the students. However, again, if somebody wants to put their money up and they're going to put forward, build the project, okay. Well,
and full disclosure, Andy, the driving force, some of the driving forces behind that project were at our meeting, took up our invitation last Monday and presented basically to us what had happened since 2008 and gave us an overview of what happened, which is most recently a successful Article 78 proceeding, which, for those of you who aren't familiar with that term, if you were going to sue a government agency or a government entity of some kind, you have to do it under what's called the Article 78 proceeding. These folks did do that to stop this from happening because they were unhappy and thought it was illegal how it was done in terms of shortcutting some of the systems that required environmental impact and site review and things like that. And they were successful after spending thousands of dollars to do so. So in the short term, they've won a victory, but in the longer term, of course, the municipality can simply do it over again and not make the same mistakes twice and probably prevail. But we'll wait and see how that actually plays out. But certainly the ones with the deep pockets and staff attorneys can outlast the little guy who depends on donations. And that said, Andy, do you have handy their website? I know they left that information with us.
Yes, I do. It's responsiblevestalzoning.com.
That's responsiblevestalzoning.com.
Just like it
I know
sounds,
that site was pretty comprehensive, including all of the work and writing that they've done. So for those of you interested, they say some 700 folks in Vestal are engaged in their endeavor there. So might be something you want to look at. And remember that these kind of things are probably happening in more municipalities than you'd care to think about. It's just that a lot of people don't pay attention unless it gets on someone's radar screen. So we wish the folks well in their endeavor. And we know from our own personal dealings with the folks at the town of Vestal, the town supervisor in particular, that a very difficult person and a very authoritarian, doesn't like the rays of sunshine gleaming through the windows and tries to limit meetings and not do Zoom and all sorts of things. So I think the folks in Vestal have a real problem, how to pay a little bit more attention to their governance.
Well, speaking of governance here, the Broome County Transit, I know that
one you're of my favorite agencies there.
Like you just said, one of your favorite agencies. They're going to receive a another grant, 1.8 million from Chuck Schumer and Gildebrand, proudly stating that by this 1.8 million, they're going to prevent layoffs at Broome Transit. Nice work. How about all the other businesses that had to shut down?
Right. And that's, it's so telling that they actually tell the truth. And that is that the transit system isn't really about transporting anybody. It's a make work project.
It's an employment
for union employees. I mean, I've harped on this since the beginning, Andy, you know it, and you're probably tired of me here, tired of me talking about it, but it's true. These buses run almost empty all the time. They run up and down and back and forth, and you could certainly you could do the routes with a 15 passenger van, and they have these vans. They're the rural transit vehicles, and they're not using them. Why? Because union rules say that Joe bus driver will drive the bus and he won't drive anything else, and he'll drive it on this route and he won't drive it anywhere else. So you've got the unions running the asylum, and we can't adjust and shrink to fit, which we should. I mean, look at how many people now are working from home, so you don't have to go in. Put that together with the pandemic, put that together with Uber and all these other ride sharing things. This is an antiquated system that is run by the federal government primarily. About 50% of the money comes from the feds. And so we don't even think about it because it really doesn't cost us out of our own pocket. We don't think so anyway, because 75% of it is subsidized by either the feds or the state.
Exactly.
Well, it's crap. It's just absolute crap.
Well, it's the money tree.
1.8 million is a joke. We don't need any more buses. We need fewer buses. We need some vans.
Well, on the other side of that, if the way that the gas prices are going, how are people going to get to work?
Yeah, and these things run on diesel, by the way. They say they're electric, and they are, but they still run on diesel fuel. We have to buy that fuel. The whole system of transportation at the federal level in this country needs a big overhaul, and Broome County is certainly not exempt.
Moving forward here is the city of Binghamton has received so much of this COVID money from the CARES Act, and they want to build a rec building in downtown Binghamton, Columbus Park. Okay, I'm in for that. 5 to 6 million that the bids came in. Now they're estimating 10 million. And to the credit of the new mayor, they decided to sack it for the time being. And I'm not sure the word that they use, but they're basically going to mothball the money to another till more pressing needs come up. I was kind of surprised at that, where from a political entity not pushing ahead and spending the money. And it's another example of what. And the reason I bring this argument up is going to be curious to see how the school and municipal budgets are going to come in with this waterfall cost increases. That's the shortages that you're seeing day to day, just going into the supermarket. The pasta at a local supermarket, the shelves are only half full. Now, either that or people are out there starting to hoard, because you have to live in a cave not to know that there's something going on over Europe. The news is coming out isn't that good.
We've got some real issues locally. It's hard anymore to remain focused on our part on the local issues because everything's so interconnected. I mean, whether or not you're local or not, you're still going to be paying $5 a gallon for gas soon. It's a global thing. I mean, this whole war that's going on is going to stifle grain production worldwide. And of course, the refugees that are coming out of a country of 40 million, God knows what's going to happen to them and with them. Again, another strain on the system. And like I said, it puts COVID so far in the back that everybody kind of forgot about it. And you wonder if there's a relationship there. I'll leave that to greater minds to try to determine. Hey, real quick, Andy, before we run out of time, I ran across this in the Wall Street Journal. There's a picture here I've got holding in my hands of this beautiful home. It says this is Smith Mountain Lake in Virginia. It's saying this is for sale. It says trophy real estate, peaceful. It's on 4 acres of land. It is a panoramic water view, mountain views, living on your own private island.
Wow.
$250,000 deck, 2 boat slips, 3 jet ski ports, 442 feet of shoreline. Okay, this place is selling for 3.6 million. Okay,
all right,
3.6 million. It says here, the taxes are $6,451 a year. Okay, $6,451 a year on a piece of property being sold on the water's edge. It's a mansion, if you could see this. 3.633 million. and the taxes are $6,451. Now, to give you an
Amazing.
example, folks, and I know most of you own property, so I'm probably preaching to the choir,
Right.
but a friend of mine's selling her deceased parents' home up in Johnson City behind the high school. It's a 70s track home, you know, a stick built, nice, but still needs a ton of updates. But it's a nice piece of property. And it's a nice home, 2,500, maybe 3,000 square feet. The taxes on this place are 14,000.
God, I know it.
14,000. She's trying to sell it right now. She's got it listed for in the high 200s, but it's probably going to sell for 250. 260 maybe, and $14,000 in taxes. Meanwhile, you go to Virginia, you buy a $3.6 million waterfront home and you pay less than half of that in taxes. You tell me what's wrong with this state.
Now, if you extrapolate that out, that's call it 1,200, 1,150 a day, a month. That is
right.
So when you get up in the morning, you go to work Monday morning, you've got a $250 bill for that week. Divide that out, it's $40 a day for your taxes.
That's right.
And there's still potholes.
Right.
It's just the measure. And they wonder why people are packing up and just driving out of Dodge.
Well, it's incredible. Just
well,
in
the
last out to people. There's the disparity. And you think things are terrible in Virginia? I think things are pretty good in Virginia. Yet they managed to eke by. Imagine if that house was in Johnson City, what would the taxes be? 200,000?
Well, times it by 0.8. 0.6. I'm not sure what the equalization rate there is, but another topic that in the news is Hesty and Cousins. They're the assembly leader and the Senate leaders are resisting any type of bail reform, where the polling shows 75% of New York residents want something done about the crime wave that is just burning up New York City as well as anywhere in New York State. And it's something that Hochul's going to have to address. They're going to have to make bail changes.
Yeah, this was a travesty from the beginning. It was maybe had some semblance of a good idea at some point when they were trying to basically make the case that if you're poor and you get arrested, you can't pay the costs. And so it discriminates against the poor. Well, that's true. But, you know, you can also forego doing crime and then you eliminate that need for bail to begin with. So we could probably address that in that way. But yeah, what's happened now is the proofs, as they say in the pudding. These guys and girls, mostly guys, come back out into the system. Not only is it bail reform, Andy, but within that, they're also speedy trial requirements, which require discovery to be passed along in a very short period of time. And if it's not, it's dismissible. So we're seeing a lot of drug offenders getting a halfway decent lawyer that knows these rules and just waiting because the system's so overloaded. And they wait until there's a violation of the speedy document overturn, you know, that has to come from the prosecution. And when it doesn't happen, they go in front of the judge, they get a motion to dismiss on speedy trial grounds, and it's granted because it's written into the law. So not only are these guys out on the street committing more crimes, but they're also able to intimidate witnesses because they are allowed under law to have the witness list. That has to be provided to the defense. So you're charged with rape and you get a witness list of who was there. There's nothing to stop a defendant, which you're not even supposed to call them defendants anymore because it's pejorative. But I think that's such BS. I'll never stop calling them defendants until they're not guilty. But the system is just completely effed up. It's not just bail reform. It's the intimidation of witnesses and people back on the street empowered to commit more crimes, because after all, you know, 80% of the crimes are committed by 20% of the criminals. A lot of criminals are kind of inactive, but there's a very active group and they are the lion's share of what's going on. So you're letting the most active criminals back onto the street the quickest. It's a complete disaster and ill thought out BS, and another example of liberal bullshit.
Yeah, for the state of New York.
Anyway,
well, Bob,
folks,
yes, we've covered it.
Well, we
our
did our
diatribe
best
for the day.
We do it in a short period of time so as not to lose your interest. But folks, please, thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, please share it amongst your friends. We struggle to do this every week and we hope it has some benefit. So if you can share it with other like-minded folks, we'd appreciate it. Please join us on Facebook, Citizens for a Better Broome. We got a meeting coming up in April. We'll talk more about that next week and going forward. But Andy, in the meantime, thanks for your input, and folks, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Great. Thank you.